Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3, testing. That could be a bit better. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3, testing. Alright, I think that's about as good as I'm gonna get it. Alright, hello, and welcome to another stream of reading. Yes, we're reading today. Today we're gonna be reading the second in the Goosebump HorrorLand series. Here's Creep from the Deep. Last time we did this, we read the original, A Day at HorrorLand. And before that, we did the first of the series, which was the fucking living dummy one, the worst one, because Slappy sucks. I don't like him. I've expressed this greatly. Any story that involves Slappy instantly goes downhill because everyone has to be like, oh, we don't believe you. And it's always the thing where it's just like, oh, he was alive. Oh, wait, no, he wasn't, but I accidentally made him alive. Fuck! Because everything really was what I thought it was initially, and no one believed me. And now, ugh. I just don't like Slappy. There is an entire sub-series called Slappy World. I'm never gonna touch it because fuck Slappy. Also, it doesn't nearly have the same charm that HorrorLand does that would draw me in. Mainly because HorrorLand is purple and green. It's dark and mysterious. Slappy Land it has Slappy. There's nothing appealing that's gonna draw me in personally. Like, I get it. Slappy's like the most famous of the Goosebump monsters, I think. Or at the very least, he has like the most mainline books. Maybe competing with Monster Blood, but like he's the face of a lot of Goosebump stuff. I just don't like him. He's an asshole. Anyways, my rambling against Slappy aside, today the Creep from the Deep is related to the Deep Trouble books. I believe there were 2 or 3 of them. You know what? I have the internet. Why don't we look it up? Goosebumps Deep Trouble. How many Deep Trouble books were there? Oh wow, it only got a 3.5? Damn. L. Okay, here's the original. Here's Deep Trouble 2. I knew there were at least 2. Here's the re-released one where it has updated art on the front. Looking pretty spiffy. Is there Deep Trouble 3? I'm seeing something here, but this might just be a mock-up somebody made. Here's an alternate cover. What the fuck? Who made this cover? It has like an octopus on it. Deep Trouble 2's updated cover also has an octopus on it. Oh, there was a Give Yourself Goosebumps. The Twisted Tale of Tiki Island. Ooh. You know, that actually sounds interesting. So those like choose your own Goosebump ones, there are a lot of interesting ones. There's some vampire ones. There's oh, I forgot about this one. Scream the Evil Genie. Oh, that one's actually really good. I like that one. In one of them, the genie ends up becoming his mom, and it's actually one of the ideas is actually really nice for him. And some of them, he just like gets sick of it and like go against it. It's like, okay, genie things. What is this? The twist. Oh, that's just no. That's not Twisted Tales of Tiki Island. That's Return to the Carnival of Horrors. I think I've seen that cover. Oh, that must be a sequel to one of the ones I grew up with. Uh, there was a Carnival of Horrors that makes a lot of references. Well, those Choose Your Own Goosebump ones make a lot of references in general to the main Goosebump books. But it had a lot of actually a lot of things that end up in the HorrorLand series is as like the sub in the like the stories before it leads into it. Ooh, what's this? Toy Terror, batteries included. Huh. Beware the purple peanut butter. That's a choose your own scare one? I have no idea where that one could go. That's interesting. Oh yeah, Escape Carnival of Horrors. That was the one I grew up with. That was the one we owned. I borrowed a lot of these other ones, but we owned Carnival of Horrors. Escape Carnival of Horrors. Ah, I think I've seen a lot of these, but I haven't like read a lot of them. Oh, this one was really good. Deep in the Jungle of Doom. That one was sick. A lot of the like jungly ones for Goosebumps don't actually end that horrifically. They're kind of somewhat power fantasies. It's actually really cool. Ooh, what's this one? I'm sorry, I'm just nerding out over random Goosebump books. I think I've seen the cover of this one, but I don't think I've ever read it. Attack of the Beastly Babysitter. The babysitter looks like a giant mouse one. That font is too small. Little Comic Shop of Horrors. Ooh, that's interesting. Diary of the Mad Mummy. Ooh, that could be good. I should honestly look for some of these. There's a secondhand shop I go to that I pick up these Goosebump books and figures and whatnot at. I haven't seen them, but there's also a library I could potentially hit up. Okay, The Curse of the Creeping Coffin. I wonder what that one has in it. So many interesting options. Alright, what's this one? Escape from the camp, run for your life. That's a fun name for a camp. I know I'm getting really off track here, but there's so many interesting things. Welcome to the Wicked Wax Museum. Ooh. Oh, here's one I grew up with, too. We had this one as well. Please Don't Feed the Vampire. I really like that one. TikTok, You're Dead. That sounds... Okay, I don't think I've read that, but I've read Cuckoo Clock of Doom, which sounds similar to it. But Cuckoo Clock of Doom is it's a straightforward story, not a choose your own adventure. Oh, I read this one before. The Deadly Experiment of Dr. Eek. That one was eh. I was looking at all these pictures of them. Werewolf one. It just says books 5 through 8. What? Not like a collection book? It just has some werewolves on the front. Or some wolves. Not even sure if they're werewolves. Ah, here's what it's based around. Number 5, Night in Werewolf Woods. Oh, here's another one. Trapped in Batwing Hall. Oh, that could be interesting. Wonder if y'all would actually be interested in doing a choose your own adventure style stories for some of these reading streams. We go through. There's usually about 20 endings in these Goosebump ones, so we could go through, do every ending. The ones that have like the big separations, we could format it that way and just go down the list. But first, of course, we'd probably want to. We'd need a few bookmarks so we can rewind whenever we reach a ending prematurely and go down the same path, so that we don't have to skip all the way back, that kind of stuff. As you would as a kid. Anyways, what's this alien looking one? Secret Agent Grandma. There are some interesting looking ones here. Damn. But I don't think there was a Deep Trouble 3. Yeah, because this just looks like a mock-up. Yeah, there was no Deep Trouble 3. This is just a mock-up fans made. What's Fear Canal? I think that's like another mock-up, maybe? Yeah, it's a fan-made Goosebump cover. Ooh. People who make these are interesting. Is this one real? No, that's custom cover. The title's interesting. The Nightmare from Nowhere. Slime Doesn't Pay. I think that's another custom one. Yeah, custom one. Yeah, it is. All right, sorry. I've been getting off track here. It's getting lost in the sauce. So, why don't we go ahead and get into our main story today? Goosebumps HorrorLand Creep from the Deep by R.L. Stine, the second book in the series. The beginning advertises HorrorLand's Black Lagoon Water Park. Dive right in. You'll be up to your neck in excitement. Seek or swim at these great attractions. Loch Ness Lake, Quicksand Beach, and swim with a hungry shark arrive. With the usual crumpled up on the back. Escape HorrorLand. Also, the upcoming in HorrorLand books, I believe we have both of these ready. 3 and 4 are going to be Monster Blood for Breakfast and The Scream of the Haunted Mask. I think we have Monster Blood for Breakfast. I'll double check. At least this wasn't falling apart. It still feels pretty old though. But not at the point where it's dying. Oh, okay, we have a male lead this time. So I don't have to do a female voice the entire time. Whew. That can be exhausting. My name is William Deep Jr. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. I live for adventure. The people who think I'm a normal 12-year-old call me Billy. The few who really know me call me by my secret name, the Undersea Mutant. For me, danger's like breakfast. I can't start my day without a healthy, balanced bowl of danger. Here I am in the middle of the ocean. Sure, it's dark and dangerous. But what do I call it? Home. Swimming off the island of Carborough. Oh, a tiny sandfield in the Caribbean Sea. I peer straight ahead through my infrared snorkel mask. My laser-guided razor fins cut through the waves. I follow school's silvery angelfish, sparkling like diamonds in the sunlight. They don't seem to realize the danger nearby. But my mutant senses are alert. No underwater villain can escape me. Oh, wait. I need my book. My book prep. Hold on. There we go. Got my book. No underwater villain can escape me. You may remember some of my adventures. I'm the one who defeated Sandy the Squid. He called himself the cephalopod of steel. Sandy liked to tickle swimmers to death till I tied his tentacles in a knot. Remember the raging ray of Honolulu Bay? He's not raging anymore. How about Joe, the great white stingray? After a smackdown with the undersea mutant, he floundered off with his stingers between his fins. A snapping tortoise of terror. After our 3-day underwater battle, I tossed him to a soup bowl. His name was Delicious. Yeah, I'm tough, and these are tough waters. And now I'm about to face my most dangerous foe, the albino electric eel, the only one in the known universe. I see him waiting for me behind a bank of red and yellow coral. To your eyes, he's just a long string of seaweed. That's because you don't have mutant vision. I lower my 4D high-def mask into the water and kick harder. I guide toward my foe. I don't hesitate. I grab him barehanded and begin to apply my famous eel squeeze. Zzzz. 2,000 volts of electricity shoot through my body, enough power to electrocute a dozen men. To me, it's only a slight itch. I thrash and kick, wrestling with the eel of evil. Another jolt of electricity makes the churning waters start to boil. Yet it's getting hot. Yes, it's getting hot down here. Only one who's in real hot water is my wriggling enemy. I hear a voice, a distant voice, calling my human name. Billy! Billy! A desperate cry for help. Someone's in danger. I let go of the eel. Catch you later, I think. I fight my way to the surface. Someone needs me. Billy! Billy! I bopped. This is chapter 2, by the way. I bopped up to the surface, pulled off my snorkel, and raised the mat. Stared into the sunlight. Saw my uncle. He was leaning over the rail of his boat, the Casanadra. Stared down at me. Billy, what are you doing down there? He called. Just pretending stuff, I said. Was that seaweed you were fighting? He asked. I didn't know he was watching. I thought maybe it was an eel, I said. He chuckled. But you gave it a beating, it won't forget. Dr. D thinks my superhero fantasies are funny. Climb up here, he shouted. You've been pestering me for weeks to teach you how to use the fishing spear. Seems like a good time. Awesome, I cried. I turned and kicked my way towards the ladder. They're at the stern of the boat. The Cassandra is a long white boat, the size of a small house. It's actually a sea lab, 3 decks tall. The lower deck has sleeping cabins for us, the crew, and storage compartments. The gallery, where we cook our meals and eat together. The main deck is filled with research cabins, study labs, and all kinds of radar and computer equipment. At the top of the deck is a pilot's cabin, with the wheel and the other controls. Behind that is an observation desk with even more electronic equipment. My uncle is a marine biologist. He studies tropical fish and undersea plants. Spends a lot of time looking for fish and plants that haven't been discovered yet. Dr. D helped pull me onto the deck. He laughed when I splashed water over the front of his white lab coat. Tossed my snorkel, mask, and fins into the metal bin near the rail. Then I pulled off the wetsuit and tossed it in too. My uncle's name is George D. Everyone calls him Dr. D. Even my dad, his brother, calls him Dr. D. Dad says everyone's called George that back when he was 10 years old, because it was always studying bugs, dirt, tree leaves, stuff, even when he was just a kid. Dr. D is short and thin. He wears thick, black-rimmed glasses, curly brown hair, and a bald spot on top of his head. The expression on his face is almost always serious. He wears a long, white lab coat with a dozen pockets. He looks just the way a scientist should look. He put a hand on my shoulder and led me along the side of the deck. How with the water? He asked. Kinda wet, I said. He chuckled, a little joke we shared. He raised the long metal fishing spear. Know what this is? He said. Toothpick for a whale? I replied. Laughed again. Let's get serious, Billy. Very dangerous weapon. He at my hand around the end. Hold it like this. Yes, I thought. The undersea mutant raises the pulverizer. My death spear made of supercharged lightning. Dr. D took the spear from me, wrapped his hand around it, and raised it over his head. Billy, watch closely. This is how you throw it. See how I have to balance? Pulled back, heaved the spear into the water. I watched it cut through the surface without making a splash. Dr. D had attached a long rope to the back of the spear. He used it to pull the spear onto the boat. Takes a while to get the feel of it, he told me. Get the right balance first. Naming it will be a lot easier. Handing the spear to me. Heavier than you thought, isn't it? Light as a feather to the undersea mutant. Yeah, kinda heavy, I said. He slid my hand closer to the middle of the shaft. Hold it here, he said. Go ahead. Get it bound and give it a try. I gripped the spear tightly. I stared over the rail to the sparkling water, took a breath, pulled my arm back as far as I could. I heaved the spear with all my might. Help! A shrill voice shrieked from the water. My sister, Stine. Help! You hit me! My heart skipped a beat. Chapter 3. I let out a horrified cry, gripped the railing with both hands. No, please tell me I didn't do it. Gasping for breath, I stared down the rail. Stine's black hair spread out like a limp jellyfish on the surface of the ocean. Was she floating face down? No, she tilted her head upward. Hope I didn't scare you, Billy. He raised the spear in one hand and waved it over her head, laughing. Stine, that's not a good joke, Dr. D said, shaking his head. Sure it was, Stine replied. It worked. What a brat. Didn't scare me at all, I said. My voice cracked. I hope she didn't notice. Stine's 10. She likes to prove that she's bold, brave one in the family. Maybe she is a little braver than me, but mainly just loud and annoying. Dr. D, Stine shouted, you shouldn't let Billy play with sharp things. He'll poke his eye out. I groaned. Ha ha, toss up the spear and wait there. Need the target practice. You couldn't hit the ocean from there, she cried. Then she laughed at her own dumb joke. Come on up. Come up here, Dr. D called to her. I need to talk to you both. Stine climbed up the deck. She pulled off her mask and her wetsuit, straightened her red swimsuit, and shook out her hair. We look a lot alike. Both have straight black hair. Mine's short, her comes past her shoulders. Both tall, kinda skinny. Both have dark blue eyes, heavy dark eyebrows, and make us look serious, even when we're not. Sometimes people say, you two must be twins. Make me stick my finger down my throat and gag, because first, I'm a whole 2 years older than she is, and second, we're not alike at all. Stine doesn't like to pretend. She would stare at the albino electric eel and say, that's just a clump of seaweed. No way could she share in the amazing adventures of the undersea mutant. She only likes things that are real. How boring is that? Stine carried the spear across the deck, dropped it on my bare foot. Ow! I screamed, hopping up and down. I told you be careful of that thing. Maybe next summer I'll invite my other niece and nephew to join me, Dr. D said. They get along. We get along just fine, Stine said. She wrapped her arm around my shoulder and gave me a big fake hug. Don't we, Billy Willie? Totally annoying, right? No more target practice for today, Dr. D said. Take your places. Time to move. Just got the map over. I just got the okay over the radio. Navigation maps I've been waiting for arrived today via satellite. All ready for action. He turned, headed up to the pilot. Let's cabin. Where are you going? I called after him. Deep waters, he said, looking back and frowning at me. Very deep waters. Chapter 4. The engines roared. Dr. D turned the wheel. Cassandra edged sharply into the waves. Stine and I took our places on the beach, or the bench against the cabin wall. The boat rocked hard, and a strong spray washed over the railing. Soon we were crashing over the sparkling waves, a red-orange sun floating on the horizon. I turned back and saw the tiny island of Caribou vanish, a speck of yellow on the blue water. About an hour later, Dr. D locked the wheel, led the way down to the gallery for lunch. Normally, the Cassandra has a crew of 3 or 4, but Stine and I visit in the summer. Dr. Lee likes to give them time off. Or when Stine and I visit in the summer, Dr. D likes to give them time off. He pulled out the grilled bluefish left over from the last night's dinner, some sandwich rolls. We sat around the small white table, ate fish sandwiches, and drank papaya juice. After lunch, Dr. D pulled up his glasses, cleaned them up with his napkin. "I'll tell you what we're doing," he said. "But you probably won't believe me." He chuckled. "I'm sure I Why is that separated? I'm sure I believe it myself, but we're going to try and track down a sunken pirate ship." My mouth dropped open. "You mean like real pirate ships?" I said. Dr. D nodded, slid his glasses back on. "People have been searching for this ship for over 200 years," he said. "Our workers back on the mainland think they've located it using acoustic imagery and laser mapping. Just email me all the info." Dr. D's eyes flashed. "Here's the amazing thing," he said. "If sonar image is correct, we're actually not too far from where the ship went down." Shanae and I nodded and waited for him to tell us more. "Ship's called the Scarlet Skull," he said. "Perfect name for a pirate ship, right?" We took a long sip of papaya juice. "According to legend, the ship sank in the late 1780s, he said. "Took millions of dollars of jewels and gold treasure down with it. We're going to find the treasure and be billionaires." Oh, wait. "And we're going to find the treasure and be billionaires!" I cried, jumping up and pumping my fist in the air. He grabbed me and pulled me back down. "Billy, were you born immature?" "We find the treasure, we'll all go to Caribo Dolphin Rescue Fund," Dr. D said. "Be thrilled to find it. I'm a scientist, not a treasure hunter." "This is totally cool," I said. I was so excited, I could barely sit still. "How did the pirate ship go down?" Janae asked. Dr. D scratched his head. "This is where the story gets weird. This is what I wanted to investigate. The reports at the time said there were two pirate ships, sailing in view of each other. Calm, clear day. Ocean waves are flat and gentle. Suddenly a swirling black cloud swept over the water. The Scarlet Skull sailed into the cloud and disappeared." "Huh? It just disappeared," I said. Dr. D nodded. "Told you it was weird. Black cloud passed, pirate ship that had vanished. The pirates on the other ship stood staring, waiting for it to reappear, but never seen again." Janae and I stared at him. Neither of us spoke. Dr. D opened a file of papers he brought to lunch and scanned them quickly. "The Scarlet Skull belonged to the notorious captain and named Long Bin One Leg," he said. "Long Ben was very bad news, and he was very long and very bad." I felt a shiver in the back of my neck. "How bad?" I asked. "Well, some people believe he was so evil, the sea just swallowed him up. Swallowed him and his entire ship to protect the world from his evil." Dr. D continued to skim the papers. "Here's a story that'll give you a good idea of what Captain Ben was like. He kept a big tub of hungry rats on the ship. When one of the men did something to make him angry, he tossed the guy into the tub, sat back and watched the rats make a lunch of him." Shanae grabbed her throat and groaned. "Ugh, that's way sick." "Sometimes when he was bored," Dr. D continued, "he'd throw someone in a rat tub just for entertainment." "Didn't have TV in those days, right?" I joked. I pictured the hungry rats gnawing on some poor guy. Felt a little sick. So all the pirates drowned when the ship went down?" Shanae asked. Dr. D nodded. "The pirates drowned, the rats drowned, and all the treasure sank with them." Set the papers on the table. Squeezed Shanae's hand. "There's only one part of the story. One more part of the story. A very creepy part." He stopped, as if he didn't want to tell us. Waited, our eyes locked with his. "Tell us," I said. "Please, tell us." Chapter 5. Dr. D hesitated. I could see he was thinking hard. "Well," he said finally, "according to legend, the Scarlet Skull is haunted. Long been prowls the sunken ship. Always awake, always alert, to protect the treasure." I gasped. But Sinead laughed. "Uncle Gregory, you don't believe in ghosts, do you?" Dr. D gazed back at her through his thick glasses. He didn't reply. "Do you?" Sinead insisted. "Do you really believe in ghosts?" He's not a ghost, Dr. D muttered. According to legend, he's a zombie. Suddenly my mind sounded so distant, so far away, I heard a soft, evil whisper. I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting. Did Janae and Dr. D see me shiver? I don't think they noticed. Of course, the whispered voice was all in my mind, my wild imagination taking off again, sitting there, scaring myself. This is the perfect mission for the undersea mutant, I told myself. Zombie pirates and a sunken treasure ship. Awesome! But why did my stomach feel as if I'd swallowed a huge rock? Tell us the truth, my sister said, pressing her uncle. Zombies, true or false? That made Dr. D smile. I'm a scientist, he said. To study the real world. I don't believe in zombie pirates. The Cassandra bounced hard on the waves, tilted forward, then back. I gripped the edge of the table to steady myself. I glanced out the galley porthole. In the distance, I could see the islands of dark, craggy rocks and tall purple cliffs. I don't believe in zombies, Dr. D repeated. I have been fascinated by this mystery for years. We can find the ship, I can study the natural causes. Tell me what really made that ship go down. Dr. D jumped up, collected our plastic dishes, and dropped them into the tiny gallery sink. Come on, he said. I want to show you something. He led us up to the main deck around the starboard side. Normally, he kept a small dinghy he tethered to the side, a little boat for going on shore islands. Whoa! I let out a startled cry. In place of the dinghy, a tiny submarine floated beside the Cassandra. My own design, Dr. D said. Cute, huh? I call it the Deep Diver. My heart was racing. Were we really going down to the bottom of the ocean in this little sub? I leaned over the rail and studied it. It looked like a toy, shaped like a real submarine. Bright yellow with a narrow latch on top, big enough for only one person at a time. I saw a round glass porthole in front, back, and on both sides. Two big headlights in front, twin thrusters at the back. Three of us should fit okay, Dr. D said. Be a snug ride. The little sub won't go long distances, but it'll take us down to the sunken ship, if we find it. At a little speed, get it up to 5 knots if I really push it. Another dangerous mission for the undersea mutant, I thought. I imagined myself in the furious sword fight with the zombie pirate. Saw myself swimming away in victory. Pulling a huge treasure chest brimming with jewels behind me. Actually, felt a little shaky. I had a fluttering feeling in my stomach. Couldn't help it. I was scared. Deep Diver looked so small and fragile. I imagined it being swallowed up by an enormous shark. Shut my eyes and imagined a deafening crash, shattering glass. Pictured a great green eel crashing through the porthole. Had me in its teeth, wrapped its tongue around me, about to become eel fool. Whoa, Billy, stop! Yes, I could dream of crazy adventures all day long. But even with my great imagination, I couldn't dream of the real horrors that awaited us at the bottom of the ocean, all starting the next afternoon. Chapter 6. A little after 2 o'clock, Dr. D called Shanae and me to the computer lab on the main deck of Cassandra. I think we're very close, he said. He was staring at the 4 monitors. They had blue and green ocean maps on. Then white dots moved across the screen. He pointed to a white dot on the top screen. That's us, he said. He moved his screen over a dark shape at the bottom of the screen. Ah, it could be the sunken ship. Sinead and I looked at the dark shape. It looked like a ship. It looked like a black smudge on the screen. Dr. D tapped the smudge 2 or 3 times, then jumped up from his chair. Let's go check it out. Swallowed hard. You mean to get this up? Sinead pumped her fist into the air. This is totally cool. Oh, she cried. Couldn't let her see how scared I was. I slapped her a high five. Don't be scared, Sinead. Dr. D and I can handle things. Funny, Sinead said, rolling her eyes. About as funny as a shark bite. I bit her arm. Not too hard. This is a joke. So annoying. When we came out the deck, Dr. D had already anchored the Cassandra. It's a bright day, puffy white clouds high in the sky. The blue-green waves leapt calmly at our boat. Dr. D led us to the little sub. He pulled open the hatch. We peered down into the small chamber. Lower yourselves slowly, Dr. D said. Plenty of room once you get in the cabin. Sinead bumped me out of the way. Ladies first, she said. Squeezed into the hatch, lowered herself quickly out of sight. Awesome! Her voice echoed from the tiny chamber. My turn. The undersea mutant follows the call to adventure, I told myself. Whatever danger goes, the mutant follows. My foot missed the bottom rung. I fell, landed on my feet. Ta-da! I made a look as if I meant to do it. No, you didn't see my klutzy move. Took the seat at the end, studied the control panel. Turned and grinned at me. What do you think would happen if I pushed this button? Sinead, don't, I cried. She laughed. Just testing you. You failed. What a pain. Always trying to prove she's braver than me. Dropped down next to her. The black plastic seats were jammed close together. The cabin ceiling was just a few inches over our heads. I heard the hatch slam shut above us. Dr. D lowered himself into the cabin and dropped into the seat next to me. He leaned over the control panel and threw a few switches. The cabin filled with orange light. Pushed a yellow button, the engine hummed to life. This sub's so easy to pilot, a monkey could do it, he said. That means Billy could do it, too, Sinead cracked. Let me show you both. Here's the helm. Steers just like the wheel of a car. Yellow button's the ignition. Tapped a round screen with the control panel. That's the satellite navigation system, he said. Like the GPS navigation in a car, only it maps the ocean. This screen next to us is a sonar echo display. Picks up any objects on the ocean floor. Pointed down to his feet. See the pedal? It looks like a gas pedal, right? Push the top of it down the ball of your foot. Sub goes forward. Push the bottom down. Heel. Rear thrusters come out, sending the sub back. Grab the stick to the right of the wheel. Pull up. Sub goes up. Pull down. And we descend. Swallowed hard. Felt a little seasick. Weren't even underwater yet. Won't be stressed once we start moving, I told myself. What would the undersea mutant do in this situation? I was too excited, scared to think about the undersea mutant. Do you really think the pirate ship's down here? I stammered. Dr. D studied the satellite navigation screen. Let's find out, Billy, he muttered. He lowered his foot on the accelerator, pulled the stick down. I heard the thrusters roar to life. I grabbed the side of the seat as we splashed down hard in the water. We were sinking slowly. I stared out to the porthole. The blue sky disappeared as water covered the glass. Down, down. A string of bubbles rippled outside the glass. The water darkened as we dropped. Dr. D. He pushed a switch. The orange light inside our chamber brightened to yellow. My ears just popped, Dr. D said. How about yours? I think my eyes just popped, I said, and I wanted it to sound like a joke, but I think it sounded a little scared. Do we have diving equipment? Sinead asked. If we find the ship, can we swim out and explore it? What a show-off, I thought. She wants to swim at the bottom of the ocean. Dr. D shook his head. No room for diving equipment. The pressure holds should be able to get close to the sunken ship. We can see a lot from inside here. The pressure holds. An hour passed, then another hour. We have to descend very slowly, Dr. D explained, especially in this tiny tin can. I wish he wouldn't call it a tin can. Gazed down at the twin beams of light. All I could see was the blue-green murk. Finally, Dr. D pulled the stick up and cut off the rear thrusters. We slowly stopped dropping. The sub rocketed rocked from side to side. Dr. D squinted at the monitor. "We're about 100 yards from the ocean floor," he said. "Next to move forward now." Saw a strange black coral formation at the side of the porthole. Shadowy forms, like underwater ghosts, I thought. Dr. D pressed the accelerator. Sub hesitated for a moment, then shot forward. He mopped sweat off his forehead with the palm of his hands. "Pretty excited," he said, staring at the navigation screen. "Studied all kinds of sea life. Never seen anything like this. The engine sputtered. Sounded like a power lawnmower shutting down. "Well," Dr. D uttered. "What's going on?" Silence now. No problem. Just stalled," Dr. D said. Pushed the yellow ignition button. The engine coughed, sputtered, died again. "Hey!" I let out a cry. Saw a huge black cloud rolling the water towards us. Sinead saw it too. "What's that?" she cried. "Move quickly." No time to speed out of its way. I watched it roll forward like an immense black tidal wave, blacker than ink, blacker than anything I'd ever seen. "Dr. D!" My voice came out in a choked whisper. I gripped the sides of the seat and I was panting so hard I could barely breathe. "Dr. D!" The blackness swept into the sub, icy cold. I couldn't see Dr. D. I couldn't see Sinead. I couldn't see my own hands in front of me. "Dr. D!" I repeated in a tiny voice. "What's happening?" I don't know," he answered. "And I don't like it." Chapter 7. "Can't see a thing," Sinead said. "Like I'm blind." Grabbed my arm. "Do we float in some kind of cave?" "No," Dr. D replied. "We're not in a cave. Not sure what this is." Maybe it will float past us," I choked out. Kept blinking, trying to see. Felt sick. Swallowed hard, trying not to gag. Sinead squeezed my arm. She was actually scared. "There are inky pots out in these deep waters," Dr. D said. "Never seen anything like this. Let me get the thrusters going. Try to steer us out of it." Couldn't see him, but I heard him working at the controls. Muttered to himself each time the engine sputtered and died. "Whoa!" I let out a cry as we tried to spin. "I don't know and I don't like it," being said by someone named Dr. D is unsettling as hell. The same prison shower. That's some prison shower shit. "Hi, Mr. Mustache. Welcome to the stream." As the title says, we are reading the second in the Goosebump HorrorLand sub-series, Creep from the Deep by R.L. Stine. In the related series to Deep Trouble, if you've ever read that. I remember reading the first one. I think I've read the second one, but I remember nothing about them. I think, like, the cover is very misleading on those, if I remember correctly, because, like, I want to say it's always, like, something piratey or skeletally, or it's always something more man than monster, or man than sea creature. That seems to be the antagonist, if my memory serves. Whether it's monster or just a shitty person. It's been a while since I've read those. So, despite the covers having, like, monstrous sea creatures, I don't think the sea creatures are ever actually the problem. Did one have mermaids? Or was that a different book? I read a lot of books as a kid. Sinead bumped hard against me. Now that I think about it, the one story that stood out to me was the camera implications, and that one was creepy as hell. Oh, Say Cheese and Die? Or is it just called The Camera? Because I don't think I've ever read of anything called just The Camera. Say Cheese and Die. I forgot to take into account R.L. Stine's cheesy titles. Yeah, it was like wasn't it like some sort of cursed object that would predict how someone would die or someone would be missing if they were, and then like there was a good chance they, well, not just die, there was injury results as well. Vanishings, if someone died, or just straight up getting fucked up. I think it would put both misfortune on people and then predict it, yeah. The invisibility one was really creepy on a conceptual level with the mirror and whatnot. That one was creepy. I already did a little bit of rambling about Goosebumps book before I started, even though I don't think anyone was here for it. I was just looking through all the choose your own scare titles, and if I can ever find any, those might be fun to do on stream. Oh, and How I Learned to Fly. That was a great one. The sub spun faster, round and round. I felt it start to drop. We whirled down, then back up, spinning faster. I felt dizzy, grab my stomach, feel my lunch rising up to my throat. I can't explain this, Dr. D stammered. Something's pulling us. Something. He suddenly stopped. The spinning slowed. The darkness covered us. I jumped up and let out a frightening cry when I heard a loud thump close to me. It sounded like when Dad opened a coffee can. The air popped open. Then silence. Held my breath, struggling not to barf. Finally, the inky black started to lift. Dr. D, are you okay? I asked in a shaky voice. Still appreciate how digestible these stories are for kids without completely scaring the shit out of them. Kind of a step below Grimm's fairy tales. I mean, yeah, on top of that, not just digestible, but also extremely creative. It gives a, like, we'll pause for a moment there. It gives a very good lesson on fake outs, cliffhangers, and horror concepts without having to be brutal. It can be terrifying. It can make a threat without gore. And I find that actually very interesting. Because a lot of, like, even adult shows have trouble not being able to fully express the scale of a threat without just indiscriminate murder. Like, so the creativity behind it is top notch. Well, not just the creativity, it has good word flow. You is very descriptive, and is honestly a good way to teach a lot of words of conversation. Because, like whenever you're teaching someone about writing, you tell them try not to use said all the time. And the Goosebumps books are great about not doing that. They'll have things like whisper, struggled to speak, demanded, bellowed. They're very, very good about that. No answer. Blinking. I struggled to see through the gray mist. Dr. D, Uncle George? What's happening? I asked. Can we get back up to the surface? Sinead asked. The lights flashed back on. Sinead and I both let out shocked cries. Dr. D was gone. If creepypasta's analog horror were any indication too, kids love horror. Better way to teach them about grammar than through stuff they enjoy. Yeah. Because as much as, like, kids might also be afraid of horror, they're also fascinated by it. So if you give them a good entry level to spooky things. And then, of course, it is a great gateway to it. Yeah, I'm just gonna skim through this and see. Yeah, like on this page, I just skimmed through real quick. They used said twice, but they also used whisper, muttered, and screamed to fully convey the feelings of the things. My first horror movies was The New Nightmare, which is kind of a sequel to Nightmare on Elm Street. You can guess how much that screwed me up as a kid. Oh no, that sounds horrific. Man, I don't even want to watch any of those popular horror movies. I'm a scared little bitch. I'll stick with my Goosebumps thing. Like, I like spooky concepts, but I'm not into like huge blood and gore things. Like, for example, the FNAF movie, I really like that. But like the least interesting part of it was when the animatronics were actually killing people. That was the least interesting part. Except when Afton died at the end. That's different because that's like narratively satisfying. And it makes sense in that scene. It's not just indiscriminate